Hello, welcome back, my favorite movement enthusiast, to today's episode of Animal Movements that'll make you just as strong as the animals you are imitating. Because believe it or not, these animal movement patterns have a myriad of benefits, the least of which is strength. We are working on our mobility, we are working on our coordination, we are working on our mind-muscle connection in general, as well as getting more flexible and working symmetrically and asymmetrically, so we can activate whatever muscle we want to at whatever time we need to. Learning all of this with just a handful of movement patterns. So if you're ready, we're going to go through the most interesting and most beneficial animal movement patterns, which are going to help you build strength, flexibility, endurance, and a better mind-muscle connection. So let's get right into it. Now, to get this party started, we will start with some asymmetrical crawling exercises because they build a lot of coordination as well as a lot of strength and endurance if you are able to do them for a longer period of time, for instance, a full minute or even two. We will start with both feet on the ground as well as both hands. Now, if you have problems with your wrist or you have pain on your knuckles, then you can do it with open hands. If you don't, then you can do it on your fists. We're gonna raise our knees and we're gonna start working asymmetrically, moving forward with the left foot and the right arm before we switch right foot, left arm. Now, we have to keep our back in a neutral or extended position instead of rounding our back. Push it through and we're gonna work asymmetrically forward. And of course, we're also gonna work backwards so we can get this extra bonus of coordination, mind-muscle connection, as well as strength in a movement pattern that we are not really used to. And if you find it a little bit too easy working slowly, then you can also work explosively. The same goes for the backwards movements. Next up, we have the same starting position, back in an extension. Raise your knees, fists on the floor, and this time we're gonna work symmetrically. Left side with the left side and right side with the right side. This is gonna help us add a little bit more core and balance to the exercise and a little bit less of the coordination part. Now we're gonna move backwards as well as forward. And if you can do a full minute for each of these patterns, then that would be absolutely amazing. So you can build a little bit more endurance in those muscles as well, because we are constantly in a tension state in all those muscles, in our back, in our core, in our leg musculature especially. And all of this, if done for longer periods of time, going to help us combine this strength aspect with the endurance aspect as well. Now, next up, we have another crawling exercise, the bear crawl. The difference here will be that our legs are a little bit more extended, and instead of working on our fists, we will work on our hands. Extend your arms fully, extend your legs. We have the tiniest of bends, and we're moving forward asymmetrically and backwards asymmetrically. Now, the more limber and more flexible you are in your posterior chain, the more you can start extending your legs as long as your back does not round. If you notice, okay, I'm extending too much, my back is rounding, and you have to bend a little bit and go into spinal extension once more. Move forward and move backwards. And this time, the stress on our arms is also a little bit different because they are fully extended. And we have a lot more of our body weight on our arms because we are way more elevated with our hips. For our last forward movement pattern, we're gonna extend our legs completely, hands flat on the ground, and we're gonna do the giraffe walk. You don't have to extend your back fully. It's okay to have the tiniest rounding in your lower back as long as you keep your legs straight. And then we're gonna move backwards again. Keep those legs fully extended. Now we're adding a flexibility aspect in our posterior chain to the strength and coordination aspect of the animal movement pattern. Forward and backward. This brings us to our first lateral movement pattern. We're gonna do some tiny lateral monkey jumps. Arms are fully extended. You can work on your fists. If you have problems with that, work on your hands. And we're going through internal and external rotation in our hips. We have some rotation in our knees. We're working on our ankle mobility as well. And this exercise is absolutely amazing for working on your deep squat mobility, as well as the strength you need to stay in a deep squat or to work from a deep squat as a starting position. All we need to do is external and internal rotation in the hip and jump the tiniest bit, move to the other side, the tiniest bit, move to the other side. Our legs and our hips stay fully bent the entire time during this movement. Which brings us to our second lateral movement pattern, and this time we have a complete extension in one leg. So we're working even more on our hip, knee and ankle mobility, combining this with core strength as well as upper body strength. Tiny jump, full extension on one side. We're gonna move with our hips all the way down to the side before, when we switch directions, we do the same thing again. Complete extension, hands on the ground, tiny jump, complete extension, switch, tiny jump, complete extension. And of course, once we want to switch directions, we do the same thing again, because we need that coordination into both directions, and we want to work that strength as well as that endurance and mobility aspect in both directions, so we do not end up imbalanced. Extend and move laterally, extend and move laterally. Now, after those two lateral monkey movements, we will move into the more upright positions. So, starting with both our hands behind our head, bring both knees all the way down to the ground. And now we're gonna move forward into somewhat of a lunging position, like so. Bring your front knee all the way down to the ground, both knees in contact. And once we are there, now we can stand up the other foot. Push forward. Now, this is known as the duck walk, or sometimes even called the shrimp walk, depending on what school of thought you are following. And of course, reverse, reverse, bring that leg back, knee all the way down, knee all the way down, reverse, knee all the way down, reverse, and forward again. Stand it up. Bring that knee down, stand it up, bring that knee down, and this is gonna help us open up our hips a lot while working on our posterior chain strength. We're moving forward, down, forward, and down. And these exercises, especially this one, are amazing for people, for instance, do grappling work or BJJ, any sort of that stuff, where we're working a lot on our leg strength, endurance, as well as coordination. Even more upright now, starting in a horse stance, we will be doing the horse walk. Now, the horse walk doesn't look at all like a horse walking, but I think it got its name from this being the horse stance. So if we're walking like this, then that would be the horse walk. Upper body fully extended, flex your lower spine, your spinal erectors, move forward, knees pointed outwards, and when we reverse, we do the same thing. We're fully opening up our hips, we're staying low so we can work on our static strength in our quads, and we are moving asymmetrically forward and backwards. It looks really funny, but it builds a lot of strength in your leg musculature. Now, next up is the ostrich walk, and this one is by far one of the funniest ones. It requires a lot of mobility, but it looks damn funny, and I think it's really fun to work with it. So we're moving with our legs completely extended. We're always only doing a tiny step, and we're switching our hands between flat on the ground and back on the ground. Flat on the ground, back on the ground. If you can extend your back, then do so. If your back rounds, absolutely no problem. You're still gonna get the mobility or the flexibility benefits in your posterior chain in your legs, but the more you extend your back, of course, the more we will be stretching our backside. And of course, we're moving backwards and forward and backwards and forward. Now, if we did this a little bit faster, it would look like this. If it does look like an ostrich, or if it just looks like a moron doing stuff that doesn't have any benefit, though it has a lot of benefits. Now I saved the hardest exercise for last. It is still a crawling exercise, the lizard crawl or lizard walk. If you've ever seen it before, then you definitely know why this is the hardest or the most advanced one. Because not only are we working asymmetrically, we're staying as low to the ground as possible, working right hand, left foot, complete rotation in our hips, and then left hand, right foot, complete rotation in our hips. We want to stay as low as possible to the ground. And when you reverse this exercise, even more strength requirement. Now this is one of the most potent animal movement patterns that builds insane amounts of strength if you do it right, insane amounts of flexibility or hip mobility specifically, and endurance like you wouldn't believe it. Because trust me, if you can do this for a complete minute, moving backwards and forward and going through the motions as good as you can, then this is going to make you an absolute beast. And there you have it, some of the most potent animal movement patterns helping you build strength, endurance, coordination, as well as the best mind-muscle connection you could ever hope for. Not only that, but it's really fun working on those exercises or those movement patterns. And even though it looks a little bit silly, I can think of many things that you can do with your own body weight that are more effective when it comes to a fitness or a strength-related topic. But with that said, sadly, that's all the time I've left for you today. However, if you like the video and subscribe, and check out other videos on this channel because we literally have new ones every single day. So until tomorrow, Captain Cairo, peace out.